Hello everyone, the topic is frontal versus the undermined resorption from biology of tooth movement. So before starting with the main topic, first I'm going to cover about hyalinization, like what exactly hyalinization is, so that you can understand about this resorptions well. Hyalinization is basically a form of tissue degradation which is characterized by the formation of clear eosinophilic homogeneous substance. So this hyalinization, it can occur in any organs such as kidneys, lungs, etc. So hyalinization of PDL, it denotes the compressed and the locally degraded PDL. So over here, this is your PDL. Now in a tooth, this is your PDL. So where the PDL, it is degraded and it is compressed. So that is nothing but hyalinization. So conventional pathologic process of hyalinization, it is an irreversible one. However, hyalinization of PDL, it is a reversible process. So when there is application of the greater forces, this leads to hyalinization. Now for this, now this is your tooth. So in this, if you are applying greater forces, so now we have seen in the last video about the optimum orthodontic forces. So in that we have seen like how much the force is required for a particular tooth movement. Now for example, if the forces are too high, so that means it will lead to hyalinization. So in hyalinization, there is total compression of the PDL ligament and the blood vessels, they get totally obliterated. So now this is a normal diagram. So when you apply normal forces, so from here there are the normal forces which are applied on the PDL. So now you can see over here, these are the fibers, these are the fibroblast and the blood vessels. Now when there are extreme forces which are applied, so because of that your PDL, so you can see the difference between these two. So the PDL, it is compressed and your blood vessels, they are getting obliterated. So this is the hyalinization. So this is the hyalinized tissue, which means there is necrosis of this particular tissue and it means it is becoming devoid of the nutritional supply. Now because the blood vessels, they are getting obliterated, so because of that this part, it becomes devoid of the nutritional supply. So as a result, there is degradation of the cellular structure and then there is a sterile necrosis which is formed, and this is nothing but your hyalinization. So this is your hyalinization, the hyalinized area. So this is the necrosed area. Now in this area you won't find any, as this area it is dead and as it is necrosed, so you won't find any cells. Now we know like for the tooth movement we want resorption and deposition. So for resorption, now we want osteoclast. So the osteoclastic cells and the osteoblastic cells, they are present in this PDL. But over here now your tissue, it is hyalinized. So that means there are no cells present. And because of that, the tooth, it won't move until and unless this hyalinized tissue, it is removed. So this hyalinized tissue, it appears as a glass-like structure. So the changes that you will see in the hyalinized zone, so this is the hyalinized zone. So the changes that you will see is there is gradual shrinkage of the periodontal ligament. So you will see there is shrinkage of the periodontal ligament. Then the cellular structures, they become indistinct. Then the osteoclast, they are formed in the marrow spaces and adjacent area of the inner bone surface after a period of 20 to 30 hours. Now this is the PDL. So this is the normal diagram. So this is the magnified view of it. So over here this is the dentine, this is your cementum, over here this is the PDL, and over here this is the hyalinized tissue. So over here now you can see there are no cells, it is a necrosed area, and this is the bone. Now in the normal scenario, if the forces are less, so because of that, now the PDL cells, so there are different cells which are present in your PDL. So the osteoclast, from the PDL, it will lead to resorption and there will be tooth movement. But now in the case of hyalinization, so for that, now until and unless you are not removing this whole area, the resorption, it won't occur, and because of that there would be no tooth movement. So what happens is the osteoclastic cells, they are formed in the bone marrow itself. Rather than PDL, they are formed in the bone marrow, and this is formed after like around 20 to 30 hours. So the presence of hyalinized zone, it indicates that the ligament, so this is your normal ligament. So the ligament, when it is having this hyalinized tissue, it is non-functional and therefore bone resorption, it cannot occur. So the tooth is hence not capable of further movement until the local damaged tissue, it has been removed and the adjacent alveolar bone, it resorbs. Now greater the forces, the wider are the areas of hyalinization. Now the location and the extent of the hyalinized tissue, it largely depends upon the nature of the tooth movement, like what type of tooth movement exactly it is. So in the case of tipping tooth movement, so this is a tipping tooth movement. Now the hyalinization, it would be close to the alveolar crest, while in the case of bodily movement, now this is the bodily movement and this is the tipping movement. So in this case, you will see it is close to the middle portion of the root. Now it is over here in tipping. So this black area, it is your hyalinized tissue. So in case of tipping, it is close to the alveolar crest, whereas in the bodily, it is present in the middle portion of the root. Whereas in this, when there is tipping movement, but there are excessive forces which are applied, so it results in two areas of hyalinization. So now you can see there are two areas of hyalinization in tipping movement, but with excessive force. So the areas are one in the apical region and the other in the marginal region. So these are the two areas of hyalinized tissue. So this hyalinization, it is dependent upon three factors, that is the mechanical factors, anatomic factors and the biological factors. So mechanical would be the nature of the movement. Now we have seen the nature of the movement, it is tipping or bodily movement. So the nature, it will differ in the hyalinization, so the formation of hyalinized tissue. The next is the magnitude of the force, whether it is light or heavy force. So it will affect the hyalinization. The next is the anatomic factor. So anatomic factor, it is the form of the bone, whether the bone it is cancellous or cortical. And the next is the outline of the bone surface. Now the biological factors are the age of the patient and the systemic condition of the patient. So in age, older age group, it is more prone to hyalinization than the younger patient because of the reduced blood supply of the bone. So that is the biological factor. So these are the factors that will affect the hyalinization. Now this is all about the hyalinization, and if you get a short answer question on hyalinization, so this is all about it that you need to write in your exams. Now starting off with the main topic, that is the difference between the frontal and the underlying resorption. So first, the frontal resorption, it implies that the osteoclasts, they are formed directly within the slightly compressed periodontal fibers. Now for example, now this is a tooth and you are applying forces on it. So because of these forces, the PDL, it will slightly get compressed. So the first point is, in frontal, you are applying light, continuous and steady forces, and because of that, there is only slight compression of the PDL. Whereas in the underlying resorption, the forces which are applied, they are extreme forces. Now as extreme forces are applied, it leads to hyalinization. Now if the forces, they are light, so obviously hyalinization is absent. So this is the next point in your frontal and underlying over here. Now we have seen about this hyalinization completely. So when the forces are applied, it leads to hyalinization. So now over here, as it says, there is hyalinization absent. So that means the PDL cells, they are vital, and hence the osteoclasts which are formed in the PDL. So the osteoclasts which are formed in the PDL, they will lead to the resorption and it will lead to the tooth movement. So as there is no hyalinization, this is possible only when the forces, they are close to the capillary pulse pressure, that is nothing but 20 to 26 grams per centimeter square on the root surface. So this is possible. So the hyalinization is absent. It means it is possible only when the forces, they are close to the capillary pulse pressure of the PDL. So now in this, now the forces it applied, they are extreme forces. So in that case, the forces, they are more than this capillary pulse pressure, and because of that, there is hyalinization. Now as the forces, they are applied light, so because of that, the frontal resorption, it is painless, whereas in the underlying resorption, the forces, they are extreme, and because of that, it is a painful and there is necrosis of the cell as there is hyalinization present. So now over here, there is no hyalinization, hence the tooth movement, it can take place, whereas now in this, the hyalinization is present. So now we have seen, now until and unless you are not removing this hyalinized tissue, so your tooth movement, it ceases. So only after you remove that hyalinized tissue, and after that only the tooth movement, it will take place. So there is delayed tooth movement in the case of extreme forces, that is in the case of underlying resorption. So now in underlying resorption, now we have seen the forces, they are extreme. So there is formation of the hyalinized tissue. So that means the cells are dead, that is necrosed. So because of this, obviously the osteoclasts, they are non-vital as it is a hyalinized and the necrosed tissue. So the resolution of this, it starts when the cellular elements such as the macrophages, foreign bodies, giant cells and the osteoclasts from the adjacent undamaged area, they invade into the necrotic zone. That means over here, now this is your necrosis. So the cells, macrophages, so the osteoclast, macrophages and the foreign bodies, they invade into this necrotic zone to remove this necrotic or a hyalinized tissue so that the tooth movement, it starts again. So because of this, it is known as undermining or a rearward resorption, as it is starting from the backward position and not from the forward. So because of that, the resorption, it is starting. So in normal case, the resorption is like this, in this direction. So in normal case, now you'll see this is like this. So the resorption, it starts from here, from the PDL in forward direction. But over here, now your resorption, it is starting from the backward direction, from the opposite side, as over here, it is not capable of the resorption. So this is known as undermined resorption. So this means the resorption, it occurs from within the endosteal surface. That means the inner of your bone and not from the periosteal surface like the frontal resorption. Now in frontal resorption, the resorption is on the periosteal surface, whereas in the undermine, it is from the endosteal surface. So this is the next point. Now it is known as direct resorption because it starts from the PDL itself, and this is known as indirect resorption, which means the resorption, it is taking place outward from the marrow spaces of the adjacent alveolar bone, and hence it is known as indirect resorption. So it is also known as rearward resorption, as I said, as a resorption is from the underside of the lamina dura rather than the periodontal ligament itself. So basically it means the frontal resorption, it occurs between the root and the lamina dura. That is your root. So this is your root, and between the lamina dura, that means it occurs in the PDL itself. So over here, this is your frontal resorption in the PDL itself. And whereas in undermined resorption, now over here there is hyalinization which is present. So the PDL is incapable of doing the resorption. So in that case, the resorption, it takes place from the underside of the lamina dura, and hence it is known as undermining, as it is from the underside of lamina dura. So this is the diagram for it. Now you can see over here. So this is the PDL. So from the PDL, so this is known as a frontal resorption. Now over here, now you can see, so the resorption, it starts from the adjacent area, from your bone itself. So because of this, it is known as a undermined resorption. So in orthodontic practice, the objective is to produce the tooth movement as much as possible by frontal resorption, so that the tooth movement, it is not delayed, because in undermining, until and unless the hyalinized tissue is not removed, so the tooth movement, it ceases. So the objective is to have frontal resorption in the orthodontic tooth movement. However, undermined resorption will probably occur despite the efforts to prevent this, but they should be minimized. So it's like this undermined resorption, it is like unavoidable in the initial stages, but the main objective is to reduce or to minimize the undermined resorption and to focus more onto this frontal resorption. So this was all about the frontal and the undermined resorption, and this is the complete answer to it. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much.